Imagine this: someone hands you a balloon, bright, hopeful, full of air, and then suddenly, with no warning, pops it right in your face. That jolt of shock, the sting of surprise, the tiny fragments falling around you, few experiences capture the feeling of emotional pain like rejection does. But what if I told you that for some people, rejection doesn't just roll off like water on a duck's back? Instead, it feels like a bruise on the heart, a weight on the chest, a deep pang that lingers long after the moment has passed. Today, we're going to dive into the psychology of people who take rejection really hard and why emotional pain feels so very real. Rejection is universal. Every human being will experience it at some point: someone declining a date, a job application being turned down, a friend drifting away. But the way we respond to these moments varies widely. For many, a rejection is a setback, a disappointment. Sure, but one that we recover from and move on. For others, however, it can feel catastrophic. It's as if their sense of value and belonging is tied up in that single moment. Why does this happen? What makes rejection so painful for some people? And how does the mind process that pain? To understand this, we need to go back to something ancient, back to a time when humans lived in groups not just by choice, but by necessity. For our ancestors, being part of a group meant protection, survival, food, and eventually, reproduction. Exclusion from the tribe wasn't just emotionally painful, it could be deadly. Over thousands of years, the human brain evolved to treat social rejection as something deeply threatening. In fact, modern neuroscience shows that the regions of the brain that light up during physical pain are the same ones that activate during social rejection. Emotional pain literally overlaps with physical pain. So when someone is rejected, the brain doesn't shrug it off, it feels it. And to some people, that pain registers more intensely. But biology is just the starting point. The way a person experiences rejection is also shaped by their personal history. Imagine two people applying for the same job. One gets the offer, the other doesn't. The person who takes it in stride might have a secure sense of self, they trust that one rejection doesn't define their worth. But the person who takes it hard might have a core belief that they're not good enough, unlovable, or destined to fail. For them, the rejection isn't just about that job, it confirms a deeper fear. These beliefs often form much earlier in life. If someone grew up with critical caregivers, experienced abandonment, or was frequently compared to others, they may internalize negative messages about themselves. Over time, their self-worth becomes fragile, resting on external validation. Every no, every slight, and every disappointment becomes evidence for a narrative they've believed for years: I'm not enough. So the pain of rejection isn't about the moment itself, it's about the meaning they attach to it. And then there's attachment style, the way we learn to connect with others as children. Psychologists talk about secure and insecure attachments. People with secure attachment tend to trust others, handle challenges with resilience, and bounce back from rejection more easily. But individuals with anxious or avoidant attachment styles might react to rejection with intense distress or withdrawal. Someone with an anxious attachment might feel rejection as a threat to their safety and seek reassurance obsessively, while someone who is avoidant might shut down emotionally to protect themselves. Both can take rejection very hard, but for different reasons. Emotionally sensitive people also experience rejection more acutely. These individuals tend to feel things deeply, the highs are high, and the lows are low. When rejection hits, their nervous systems respond intensely. They replay the event, analyze every detail, and struggle to let go. This isn't a choice, it's how their nervous system is wired. For them, rejection feels like a blow because they absorb it with their whole being. Perfectionism can make rejection even more painful. When someone sets impossibly high standards for themselves, failure becomes intolerable. They might equate rejection with personal failure, seeing it as proof that they are flawed or incompetent. Instead of viewing rejection as a redirection, they see it as a verdict. And when that verdict lands, it stings. But let's pause here. Because while all of this might sound heavy, and it is, it's not all doom and gloom. Understanding why rejection hurts so much gives us insight into how to heal from it. Pain is not a permanent sentence. First, recognizing that rejection triggers real pain is important. Too often we hear phrases like "just get over it" or "if it's no big deal." But for someone who feels deeply, those words can invalidate their experience. Emotional pain deserves acknowledgement, not dismissal. Giving ourselves permission to feel hurt is the first step toward healing. Second, reframing rejection can transform how we experience it. Instead of seeing rejection as a confirmation of personal inadequacy, it can be reframed as information, something that tells us about preferences, timing, or fit. A job rejection might simply mean the role wasn't the right match, not that you lack value. A romantic rejection could mean that person wasn't the right partner, not that you are unlovable. The difference in meaning makes all the difference in the world. Practicing self-compassion is another powerful tool. When we're hurt, we often beat ourselves up, criticizing, comparing, and ruminating. But self-compassion invites us to speak to ourselves with kindness, as we would to a friend who's hurting. Instead of "I'm a failure," we learn to say, "This hurts, and it's okay to feel that." That simple shift can calm the nervous system and reduce the sting of rejection. It's also important to build resilience, strengthening our emotional muscles so we can recover more quickly. Resilience isn't about never feeling pain. It's about bouncing back. We do this by nurturing supportive relationships, engaging in activities that reinforce our sense of self-worth, and challenging the negative beliefs that intensify rejection wounds. And finally, expanding our identity beyond external validation helps immensely. When our sense of self-worth depends solely on others' approval, every rejection feels like a collapse. But when we cultivate internal sources of value, our passions, our strengths, our growth, rejection loses its power to define us. So the next time rejection comes knocking, remember this: it's not a measure of your worth. It's a moment in time, a painful one. Yes, but a moment that doesn't have to echo forever. Your brain may register the sting, your heart may ache, but you have the capacity to reframe, recover, and grow. Rejection is not a verdict on your life, it's a chapter in your story. And as always, understanding your mind is the first step toward mastering your emotions. If this exploration helped you make sense of emotional pain, give it a like, subscribe for more insights. And remember, your value isn't defined by any one moment.